Hello everybody, I'm Bevo and I'm here with Dan from Intrepid Games, who's very on brand with my brand. And we are here to talk about Lander, which is your new game about space travel, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So why don't you tell everybody a little bit about Lander as if they've never played it before and they've never heard of it.
Okay, so Lander is a competitive resource management strategy game for 2 to 4 players set on the first planet outside of our solar system. This is a fictitious planet that we call Chimus 2, and the idea is that we've left Earth and we are on this spaceship called the GCC Intrepid, hence Intrepid Games.
Right.
And there's on board the ship is 5,000 people coming to colonize this new world, and it's the first planet outside of our solar system with liquid water on its surface. And on the front of that ship is a forward landing vessel called the Lander, and this has corporate representatives in it who you play in the game, and a crew of engineers, scientists, and operations staff. So through the course of the game, you'd think that you were all going to be working together, but as the ship comes in, it crash lands, half of the crew die, and actually we find out that all of the corporations are competitively trying to stake claim to this new world, and you're trying to scrabble together to complete the most mission stars so that you can be the market leader of the share of the pioneers when the main ship arrives.
This sounds like a futuristic nightmare Elon Musk wrote.
Well, yeah, the game is kind of a satire, and we would say personally that our view is that corporations shouldn't go into space, because this is what happens when they do. They start messing each other up and so forth just to try and get the biggest profit margins.
I love the spirit of that, and I love the theme of your game even more now. That's so funny and so good. Oh, I'm tearing up laughing about it. That's so good. So tell us a little bit about your Play Before You Pledge campaign, because that seems like a really cool concept.
Well, thank you very much. Well, I started this game with my friend Charlie, and he invited me over just after Christmas to play some board games with his family. And when they kind of went up for it, he just kind of turned to me and said, should we make a game? And we kind of took Lander for 2 years and kind of got it to where it is. And then when we wanted to kind of commercialize it, Charlie said, I don't really feel like going down this path. And I asked my friend Sean if he could help. And at that moment in time, we didn't really understand what Kickstarter was. We kind of knew it was a thing, but not really in detail.
Right.
And we just thought, why can't you play games before you back them on Kickstarter? And because we were total novices, this question that we kind of posed to each other when we kind of started to think about this set us off in this whole kind of avenue of exploration of wanting to share our game with the world, because we believe in it so strongly. We've had so many people tell us it's such fun. You have so many stories that it makes when you play the game, that we came up with this idea to go to China, meet manufacturers, and try and find out if we could get a small print run made. And in so doing, we basically found one who Gameland is our manufacturer, and we organized with them to make a mini print run of 160 copies, and we sent 130 to board game cafes and stores all around the world, and 30 copies went to kind of reviewers and content creators. So from this, the kind of main element is that we've had the best feedback, because we've had people take our prototype, the people that love games, and play it and give us all this wonderful feedback. So we've been able to take what we thought was our fantastic game and make it even better based on everyone's really positive support kind of thing.
I love that. You create a sense of community even before the game is out.
Yeah. So with this, we've got 102 copies in North America, 25 in Europe, 3 in the Middle East, and 5 in Australasia. And it means that, for the English-speaking parts of the world, that we're able to kind of speak to different types of players, for example, in Finland, we found that people were more into kind of Euro games. In America, more into kind of the American style games where there's more player interaction. And we found different kind of cultures give us different feedback. So that's been really interesting. And we've been able to take all of this on board over the last 9 months that these copies have been in the world, and kind of listen to it all and then make kind of very careful changes to the game, playtest it a lot ourselves. So now we've kind of got the game to a state whereby it's going to be suitable for all those American style gamers and all those Euro style gamers.
Oh, that sounds fantastic.
Yeah, so that's been kind of one of the main things of that, because we played it with a lot of people. Myself, I've played it over 800 times in the 5 years that we've been making it.
Oh my gosh.
And then on top of that, we've had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of other people play it. And the game is really going to be the best version of itself that it can be when it comes out.
I'm really happy to hear the love and care that you put into something like this. Honestly, 5 years is a really long development time, and that speaks a lot to your company and what you're trying to accomplish, and I really appreciate that.
Well, one of the key things behind our company name is that we aim to be intrepid, as you are be bold.
Yes.
So we've got a bit in common here, and we thought it was an intrepid decision to do this, but we're so pleased that we have done, because actually getting it into people's hands, they've been able to criticize us, but from a position of love.
Right.
And that's just been great to be on the receiving end of.
And it's hard and scary to make yourself vulnerable, right? I made my first game, and I was like, cool, well, I'm going to show this to my friends who are going to say nice things about it, and then I'm never going to publish it because I'm a coward. Honestly, I was just so afraid of negative feedback. Well, in part because I am a woman on the internet. And it's a scary place to be, and so I really admire that, you put yourself out there. It's a real place of vulnerability that I don't think everybody really understands until they do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I would say that because we believed in the game so much, I don't think Sean and I felt vulnerable from our perspective, but what it's really shown us is it showed us that we a lot of areas that we didn't know. So
he's fighting me. Go on.
There was, as first-time publishers,
mm-hmm.
what you might say would be our weakness in this is our first game. We've managed to, using the play before you pledge concept, kind of flip this into our key strength.
Right.
Because everyone else has been able to, support us in, did you think about this? Did you think about that? And that community support that we've had has been building all the way up to today. And we've just gone live, and we're already at 50% funded. So it's
5 hours ago, right? It was super recently.
Yep.
So you're going to fund it in no time, which is awesome as a first-time publisher, because I feel like a lot of people are super hesitant to back a campaign if it's your first ever made. But based on the campaign page, which I will now show everybody, there we go. It really shows that you know what you're doing and that you've put a lot of time and attention and care into your campaign page. Everything looks good, looks professional. You have so much gorgeous artwork in this game. I am totally in love with it. So why don't you tell us a little bit about the artwork and the world that it's set in and how that art brings your game to life?
Okay, so it goes all the way back to when we found our artist. And I had this vision in my head for the box cover, and we'd explored different styles of art. Those kind of old 1950s sci-fi kind of art, like rockets on moons, and this kind of near real future, and kind of took that idea up to kind of today, and thought we'd like to go with this near to our present time scene for the game.
Mm-hmm.
We'd like everything to look reasonably plausible, that everything in the game was it's just kind of over the horizon of our future.
Mm-hmm.
And we set the game at the end of the 21st century in 2092. So over the course of this century, with climate change and everything else, sea level rise causes war, and corporations run the planet instead of governments. And that then put us in this frame that we're going to have to leave to go to another planet. So we made one up, and that planet's called Chimus 2. And I studied geological oceanography with geophysics at university.
Awesome.
And through that degree, it was a really, really interesting course. It basically taught me how our world has been put together. And I was able to use everything I'd learned to basically build a new one. So through that process, Chimus 2, we've got all of the stats for it and so on, so that it would hold up in a NASA, page. It could be a real world. So when we then crash land on this planet, the way that it's set is that it's like our planet was 500 million years ago. So
my gosh.
the kind of the explosion of life on Earth was called the Cambrian period in geology, and we've set Chimus 2 to be at this same place. So if you're looking on our website, landofthegame.com, you can click on Universe, and you can click on the backstory. You can see the backstory, but you can click on the planet, the Chimus 2, and you can see a picture of it where the tectonic plates are all in that process of breaking apart. It's a very kind of hot and wet climate, strong winds, dust storms, all of this. So this then leads into the artwork, so that in the game, we wanted to create this very raw environment that not really much is there, that life is just beginning. And this is where, we've landed. And the moral of the kind of story here is that with human beings coming to this brand new planet that's just able to give us a completely fresh start, we could be leaving and all being, hand in hands and friendly and colonizing this planet and working together, for the benefit of all mankind. And instead, I think one of the key lines that we've got in our writing is that already these lands are being divided.
Right.
And that's what you're kind of playing in the game. So all of this kind of thought from my degree and all of our kind of love of sci-fi has really kind of set the scene on Chimus 2, that there's this fresh start for humans, and now we're fighting each other to try and have more of it than our rivals.
I mean, I would say I'm shocked, but I'm not. We're humans.
So, when we kind of worked with the artist, I had this idea in mind for this scene whereby this ship has crashed on this planet, and there's this beautiful sunset in one side to represent that we've got this wonderful, world, beautiful life. There's water you can see in the scene. You can see some like basic algae, but then as you move your eyes across the picture, there's this huge dust storm. And it's kind of like when you look at the box art, it's like Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah, I love it. It's super gorgeous, and it looks like there's a lot of like mysterious, like science-y things going on.
Yeah.
It's really cool, and I everything's made of metal to withstand those dust storms, and it looks very militaristic, which is realistic if we're going to space.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a little bit worried about that lightning acid storm looking thing, but maybe this isn't the planet for me. I'm a little bit afraid.
So, yeah, the whole theme of the game is something that we've spent years kind of crafting, and with this, I just did some work with the Dice Tower with Mark Street, and one of the first things he said to me is like, "Whoa, there's so much theme here. I'd like to do just a preview just on the theme and how every order links to the theme in the game." And that was one of the kind of the first ones that he'd done. So he'd gone with a different format because he really kind of appreciated just the level of detail that we've gone to. So if theme is something that you like, or you're if you're watching this that you love, then that's what we've put our love into, and we hope that you feel it through every kind of action that you take, every order that you make, and all the artwork on the cards as well.
It's absolutely stunning. I love it. So what actually drew you to create this project in the first place?
It was just a funny thing. My friend Charlie, really, been an absolute like best friend most of my life. We met each other when we were 3 years old, and
Aww.
he wanted to spend some time together because I lived in London in England and he was in North Wales where we grew up, and kind of making a game together as part of our friendship. And when it got to a certain point, suddenly the game became bigger than both of us almost, in that so many people were saying this is such a good fun thing to do and enjoy, that we need to get this into the world so more people could enjoy it.
Yeah.
So every day, even though Charlie's not on the commercialization of it, he's always kind of with me in my thoughts. That's where we started.
I love that. I definitely grew up with my best friend. We met when we were 12, so a little bit older. But we would make board games and card games all the time as kids. And that's what we did with our free time. And so, of course, when I got older and had the opportunity to actually work in the game industry, I was like, I'm in. Just count me in. I'm doing this. I'm jumping ship. Before that, I was an insurance agent, which was a little more boring.
Mm-hmm.
So I love that you have that relationship with your best friend and that board games are how you connect, because I'm very related to that. So
yeah, with that, then my flatmate in London, Sean, he's Canadian, and he was the guy that I asked to make the game with, and we developed such a great friendship. He moved back to Canada, and then we maintained our friendship in making the game.
Aww.
So there's so much kind of like good things in terms of like what friendship can bring you.
Yeah.
And this game is like a real testament to what you can achieve together with your friends, basically.
Yeah, so the theme is like colonizing a new planet, but the underlying theme is friendship. I love that. So how did you first get into modern tabletop gaming?
I would say that I started with my grandfather. He would teach me chess, and then we would play the classics, Monopoly, Risk, Scrabble, Yahtzee, all of the kind of the games when I was growing up. But I would say that Charlie's family were probably the biggest board gamers, as it were, because they were into Catan. So my other friends had got into Catan and different games like Carcassonne, Munchkin, Battlestar Galactica. There was a whole bunch of games.
Yep.
And then we played Risk Legacy. We played all the way through Risk Legacy. So through all of these games, there was just this feeling of, in Catan, for example, we always like to play Catan slightly differently every game. We got the expansions and we played different bits and bobs and so forth.
Yeah.
And that was such a great part of it. The making of it slightly different. I think that's kind of what got me into the hobby in a big way. Because for me, Catan, being the first game where the board was different every time, was that thing that really kind of made me think, oh, I want to play this again.
Yep. Yeah, that was definitely one of my very influential games that I first started with. I also played a lot of Power Grid.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was a big one for me. That was the first one where I played it and I go, oh, I need to play this again. That wasn't a deck building game because I lived, breathed, and died by Ascension for a while.
Mm-hmm.
So it's great to know that, like, in Europe, y'all are basically playing the exact same games we were, 10 years ago? Maybe even 15?
Yeah, 10, 15 years, yeah.
Yep. Awesome. So, you work in a field that helps you create this game. So, how do you think your current skills help you with your passion for creating games?
Well, I would say that my day job, so I'm a global sales manager in the oil and gas industry, and I work with a software product. Mm-hmm. I would say that my current day job is very interesting because I get to go and meet lots of people all over the world and understand some quite complex issues that they're kind of facing. Mm-hmm. And I think that understanding of like the business and the tenacity and kind of the long-term planning and all of this kind of element to it is what really helps in the production of a game, because it's when you do it with your friends and it's a fun thing to do, it completely changes when you actually try and bring it to the world for people to fall in love with.
Yep.
I would say that all the way from the beginning, the key kind of element that I bring to the project is the drive and the kind of the determination to get there, to get to the finishing line, and then all my friends basically support me with this. So I don't know how they put up with me most days, but they are wonderful, and without them, like, I couldn't be talking to you today, basically.
I love that. Ugh, friendship is so good. My best friend lives with me, so I feel very fortunate to be surrounded by wonderful people that I've known forever. And it sounds like you are in a similar situation, even though your friends are further away.
Yeah, well, that's one of the great things, because we've got the game in Tabletop Simulator. We've been able to play the game remotely like that. So this has been so much fun as well. So as part of the Play Before You Pledge campaign, if you can't actually go into a local store and play the game, before you back it, or if you already think, hey, these guys are, got the game to be great, I'm just going to back them. If you do want to play it, then you can just go on Tabletop Simulator and you can play our introductory version to the game.
Love that.
Being able to do that across continents and time zones and everything else, that's been a key element of the game design as well.
And honestly, with the coronavirus, we're all going to need something to do when we're quarantined inside our houses. So maybe we'll all go play our game on Tabletop Simulator.
Yeah.
I'm in Everett, Washington, which is where, like 5 of the 6 deaths in the United States have happened.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah, it's in my daughter's schools. But, we're colonizing a new planet. Everything's going to be fine, right?
Yeah. I mean, one of the key things is in the game is that you get these events that come up. And I would say the key selling point for the game, there's so many games coming out on Kickstarter today, for example. The reason why you'd want to play Lander is that there are so many games out there that you're just kind of optimizing your player area. The one key thing that makes Lander so much fun is that there's these events that pop up or other direct player interaction, that your strategy isn't just A to B. Your strategy is, oh no, something's happened and we've now got an event and we've got to kind of pivot the strategy, and then another thing happens, and it's that kind of ability to overcome those challenges through the game. That there's something about Lander that when you play it and you win, it's like, yes, like you've really won because you've managed to get over all of those hurdles.
And that gives it a really space feel vibe. Like, I think about, oh gosh, what was the show that I was watching? The Expanse. Right? Like, everything goes wrong.
Yeah.
All the time. And it's just like a waking nightmare. And I feel like that's exactly what being in space would be like. It would not be like Star Trek, despite my best wishes. I love Star Trek. It's like my heart and soul. But in this century, it's going to be a mess.
Yeah. Well, to kind of further that as well, as part of our campaign, we're doing a narrative reveal every day. And we've written out a story that people are able to follow along with as part of the campaign, and to be able to kind of hopefully feel what it's like to be on Chimus 2 from the moment when it crashed up to the moment when you play your first order. And
will that be in the narrative reveals every week with updates?
Every day over the next 20 days, we'll have a narrative reveal.
Oh my gosh. So if you're not already backing Lander, like, go back it for $1, follow along with the campaign, and by the end of it, you'll be convinced that you've got to go all in because you need to live on this planet, right?
Yeah, basically, yeah.
I love when campaigns give the players an emotional investment into your world. I think that that's really brilliant.
Well, I think that one of the key things that we've done there with the emotional investment is the crew members that we play. So you play as a corporate representative, so you are kind of ordering these crew members. And we've got this crew of 50 people, equal numbers of men and women, and they're all in key roles, and they're fairly realistic in their character nature.
Yeah.
We'll be making them a bit more kind of cartoon styled and painted for the final product.
Yeah.
But this crew that you have, you get such an emotional connection to them because you can really feel like you're there with them. And, you know, there's a diverse crew of all different like ages and races and so forth. And that's kind of another special part of the game is that you play.
Oh, sorry, hang on. Sorry, that was a phone call.
No worries. You basically play a game of Lander, see your kind of favorite crew member that game, and because half the crew die each game, you might not see that crew member for 2 or 3 more games.
Oh wow!
And then when they come out again, suddenly you develop this emotional connection, like, oh, I need to get that one.
Yes, I love that. That's amazing. And if you're following along with the narrative reveals, you're going to already know them by the time the game comes out. I love that. That's so special. Thank you for sharing this with me. This is a very fun interview.
You're
so,
welcome.
we're nearing the end, which means I have 2 more questions for you.
Okay.
If you could give one piece of advice to somebody new to Kickstarter, what would it be?
If you're new to Kickstarter, I would say that if you're looking in the board game space with so many games coming out there, I think a lot of people now are doing a lot of reviews and promos and so on. I would say either kind of study the reviews and try and find out if the game is suitable for you, because you want to make sure that the mechanics are something that you enjoy.
Yes.
For example, if you love player interaction, then you might like Lander. If you hate player interaction, it's really a thing that you're against, then Lander might not be the game for you. So we would like, I would say, find the right game for you by watching the reviewers. And we actually did a review with a reviewer called Quackalope, and they've done an in-depth review series that actually specifically goes into that, whether this game is right for you or not. So it's a very, very kind of interesting review format. Alternatively, you could go and find a company that's doing a play before you pledge campaign and go and play their game before you back on Kickstarter.
Totally. So are there any games right now on Kickstarter that you want to give a shout out to before we go?
I would say Wonderland's War. I would say the big thing there is that they've gone in with their theme. They've gone in with the narrative reveal. And we, planned all of our backstory and so on and so forth. And they've gone in with the same idea. And it's just really nice to see these, that we're on par with, these hugely successful people and, little old us kind of thing.
Yeah, I love that. Well, I love Wonderland's War as well. We're actually getting a different Skybound game this week, which is Trial by Trolley, and we're super excited to check out that. But I can't wait to try Lander. Maybe I'll have to hop on Tabletop Simulator with you.
Yeah, no worries.
And thank you so much for this interview. It was honestly really special to me. I totally am behind everything that your company stands for and everything that you're doing with this game. I love the narrative reveals. I love all of the characters and the artwork. I can really tell that you put a lot of thought and care into this game. So thank you, Dan.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah. And be intrepid.
Yes, and be bold. All right, well, thank you everybody else for watching, and I'll be uploading this to YouTube in the next couple days, so you can watch it again there if you want to know more. So thanks everybody for hanging out, and we will see you later this week. I will be posting, or actually today I'll be posting another interview for later this week, and actually tomorrow night I'm going to be interviewing Victoria Kanya about her game. So tune in, and we'll see y'all later.